Dungeons & Dragons is full of monsters, creepy dungeons, and eldritch horrors. But let's be honest, half the time your players aren't terrified. They're making jokes about seducing the vampire lord or naming their skeleton minions Bon Jovi. So how do you actually run a horror session that feels scary in a game where the natural instinct is to crack jokes? That's what we're talking about today. How to set the tone, keep your players engaged, and actually make them feel the fear. Let's roll. Set expectations before the game even starts. Horror doesn't work if your players aren't on board. If your table is used to high fantasy heroics, suddenly dropping them into Silent Hill won't have the effect you want. Before the session, talk to your players. Tell them, tonight's game is going to be different. It's going to be unsettling, tense, and scary. Are you all down for that? This does two things. It mentally prepares them to engage with the horror elements, and it makes them less likely to break the tension with jokes. If you have players who came here to be part of a collaborative storytelling game, they'll get it. If your players are used to solving problems with combat, let them know that they'll have to approach things differently. Combat might not always be the answer. Running away is always an option. If everyone is on the same page, you're already halfway to a terrifying session. If you just say you see a spooky haunted house, your players are imagining something out of Scooby-Doo. Instead, engage all five senses.
The stench of decaying timber and wet soil clings to the air, thick and suffocating. You hear faint scratches inside the wall, too soft to be rats. The moment you cross the threshold, a deep chill seeps into your bones, unnatural and biting. The flavor of iron clings to the air, like an open wound left too long. Something dark shifts ahead, melting into the shadows before you can focus.
By making them feel it, you're tricking their brains into immersing themselves in fear. Nothing kills horror faster than over-explaining. Fear thrives in the unknown. If they see a monster and immediately know its AC, hit points, and weaknesses, it's just another combat encounter. But if they only catch a glimpse, a shadow darting past, an eye peering through a crack in the wall, something breathing just behind them, now their imagination fills in the gaps. And trust me, their imagination is way scarier than anything in the monster manual or anything that you can come up with. A few ways to use this. Don't fully describe the creature. Keep creatures hidden as much as possible so the party only sees parts. Let them piece it together over time. Let them hear it before they see it. The slow scrape of claws on stone, the sound of wet breathing in the dark. Make them doubt their own senses. You think you saw something, but when you turn, nothing's there. So instead of saying a zombie steps into view, roll initiative, try this.
You hear the wet, scraping sound on the stone floor and the slow shuffle. When you turn, something limps forward out of the dark. Its head tilts at an unnatural angle. It stops, as if listening, and then it starts to move toward you. Roll initiative.
Hey, just a quick note, if you're enjoying this video and want more DM tips, hit that like button and subscribe. It helps me grow the channel and it keeps the content coming, and I really appreciate it. Now, let's get back to it. Take control of the pacing and slow things down. Use things like long pauses in your speech to stretch out the reveal. Make them sit in silence. Make them feel the unease of waiting. Whisper instead of raising your voice. If you lower your voice, they'll have to lean in, and now you have their full attention. When you control the pace, you control their fear. Nothing runs horror like players feeling invincible. If they think, I just cast Fireball, the fear disappears. To counteract this, Use enemies they can't fight directly. Maybe a monster isn't vulnerable to normal attacks. Maybe their magic fails in its presence. Introduce a time limit. If they can't waste turns debating, they feel pressured. Use isolation. Split the party. Not in a mean way, but in a horror way. Make them face something alone. Modify creature mechanics. Magic doesn't work as expected. The creature's behavior is different from what the players know from experience. When players realize they're not in control, that's when fear sets in. Here's a scenario. A player finds a horribly wounded NPC who pleads with the party to help them. If the players heal them, the NPC starts convulsing before dying. As the players start to wonder what could have happened, suddenly something crawls out of its mouth. Now they're second guessing their decisions and their abilities. Let the jokes happen, but bring them back. Look, some jokes will still happen. That's just how groups work. The trick is not fighting it, but redirecting them. Let them joke. Let the humor give them a false sense of security. And then just when you sense that they feel the most comfortable, you snap it away from them. Personalize the snap to the player joking around the most to single that player out. For example, they're joking about a possessed doll being named Murder Barbie. Then when that doll turns its head slowly toward the person who made the joke and whispers their name, suddenly it's not funny anymore. Comedy and horror work together. Let the jokes relax them, then use that false sense of security to strike. Horror in D&D isn't just about creepy monsters, it's about building an atmosphere, controlling pacing, and making your players truly feel vulnerable. So next time you want to terrify your party, remember, less is more, the unknown is terrifying, and sometimes a whisper is scarier than a scream. If you like this video, hit like and subscribe for more DM tips, and tell me in the comments, what's the scariest moment you've ever had in a D&D game? I'll see you next time. My name's David, aka Evil Penguin, and may all your rolls be nat 20s.